This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
I think what was interesting was what he didn't say. He focused his remarks and his reasoning on why he was leaving solely about internal party squabbling, internal divisions and debate, and not about the message that Canadians and voters have been sending him now for months through by-elections and also through public opinion polling and also through fundraising numbers that all indicate that they had turned their backs on the Prime Minister, that they were no longer satisfied with his leadership or his party's tenure in government and wanted a change. And the Prime Minister made no reference to that, and he made only the focus on the fact that he is a fighter, that he was willing to lead the Liberal Party and wanted to lead the Liberal Party, but that he couldn't do that if the party was not behind him. And that's something that has become ever more clear in the last 3 weeks, and it's something that sources tell us was a huge factor in his decision to step down, that he knew he could only stay on as leader if he actually had the team behind him. The other thing that really struck me from the Prime Minister's announcement on Monday morning was the whole visual of it. The Prime Minister made the announcement standing completely alone. There was nobody behind him, nobody standing with him. It's a huge contrast to, for example, Brian Mulroney, who, when he quit, he did so in a speech to caucus. He still had caucus on side. He still had that caucus loyalty. And instead, the Prime Minister was standing alone outside his Rideau Cottage residence, much the same way Canadians were used to seeing him during the pandemic. And in a weird twist of fate, his speech even blew away in the cold winter wind of Ottawa just as he was walking up to the mic. So it really sort of spelled sort of the end of something and was a huge contrast to how the Prime Minister started his political career with his team, positioning himself as the Team Trudeau, as having this really high profile, highly qualified team around him. He also really leaned on his family as part of his brand when he came into politics in 2013, 2015 as the Liberal leader. And now he was just so alone on Monday. In choosing to leave so late, already in an election year, already in a minority government, he gives very little runway to the Liberal Party to conduct a leadership race, and very little runway, if any at all, for whoever wins that leadership race to put their own stamp on government policies, on the government itself, on the Liberal Party before being thrown into an election. And that's because the opposition parties have made clear this week that they plan to pull confidence in the government when it returns with a throne speech at the end of March, no matter who is the leader. And so who wants that? Well, people still want the job. There is a lot of expectation that former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who really sparked this final push of the revolt with her resignation in mid-December, that she will now enter the leadership race. We know she's making calls. We know she's gathering organizers around her. So that is certainly somebody to watch. Another person to watch is actually the person who the Prime Minister had wanted to replace her as Finance Minister, and that's former Bank of Canada Governor, Bank of England Governor, Mark Carney. He has been very coy. He has not at all explained his role in the talks with the Prime Minister in December. He has not addressed any of the reporting that he would be joining government and then what happened that he did not end up joining government. But he has made it very clear in reading between the lines that he's still very interested in the leadership. And so he is also one to watch. But I will caveat all of this to say that we don't yet know the Liberal leadership rules. And those rules will help to determine, help to inform people's decision about becoming the Liberal leader, because they might not have as good a chance at winning depending on what those rules say, depending if they're already in caucus, for example, or if they are an outsider. So there's a lot of different factors at play, not just the Liberals' poor polling and the high uphill battle whoever the new leader is will face in getting the Liberal Party back on track before the next election, but also just the likelihood of winning for each candidate will change depending on what those rules say. Other names to keep an eye on, who are being talked about now as possible leadership contenders, are former BC Premier Christy Clark. Other people from cabinet are Melanie Joly, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne, Transport Minister Anita Anand. And I think there's probably some others who are also kicking the tires, looking at what their options are right now. And again, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it will go very quickly given how little runway they have for this leadership race. But it's a bit too soon, I think, to throw your hat in the race until you know the rules and have your ducks in a row.
But what has really changed?
All of the opposition party strategies will have to adapt, and we already have seen some of that happening. So, for example, the Bloc Québécois and the Conservatives, both on Monday, made clear that all Liberals wear the Justin Trudeau legacy from their vantage point. They're trying to make the case to voters that it doesn't matter who the leader is. They supported the Prime Minister. They supported the policies that the Prime Minister championed in the last 9 years, and so they will be the ones who now wear whatever that tenure is, whatever that baggage is. So they are trying to paint all Liberals with the same brush, trying to not allow for differentiation or for somebody to distance themselves too much from the Prime Minister. So that will be something to really watch during the leadership race, is how much distance the candidates try to make with the Prime Minister. You could imagine how that would be difficult for somebody like Chrystia Freeland or Dominic LeBlanc, who were such close allies to Mr. Trudeau for so long.